So we tend to talk about Colorado's low vaccination rates as if there are these strident anti-vaxxers refusing to immunize their children. Yet when school districts have pushed back, they found that these parents just went and got their kids the shots. Here's Anusha Roy.
A couple of Littleton Public School students got an extended weekend. They were not in class today because their families missed a vaccination deadline, a deadline that requires them to either be immunized or sign an exemption by Friday. So these kids will have to stay out of class until their paperwork is updated. There's a similar new deadline coming up for some Boulder families on December 2nd. These districts can change the rules because of an old state law dating back to 1978.
Most of the laws around vaccination are actually several decades old.
Dr. Sean O'Leary, a pediatric infectious disease specialist,
He's vaccinated, hundreds if not thousands of kids myself,
said Colorado is still at the bottom of the list for vaccination rates. He also said just because the state law was around, enforcing it was another story. Some schools only have enough money for a school nurse once a week. Other families aren't comfortable with vaccinations. And then there's the issue of time.
Trying to understand how many of these exemptions are actually exemptions to vaccination versus just they haven't had time to go get their vaccine.
It's important for districts to have accurate records because there could be other kids who can't get vaccinated for medical reasons and need to know what they could potentially be exposed to.
Now, of course, there are parts of the state where it's not always easy to access a primary care provider.
But after the measles outbreak this year, the conversation changed in places like Boulder, where a spokesman said self-admittedly they were a little too relaxed in enforcing the state law and stepped up their game in the spring. So in Boulder, the district said that they know there are a lot of families who are against vaccination, so they're not encouraging people to make one decision over the other, but they just need to know what that decision actually is. Now in Brighton, though, they ended up changing their rules 3 years ago. That's when they realized that this state law even existed, but did say, though, that those new rules have helped. So we talked to the State Department about why is there this hodgepodge of enforcement across the state. They said this entire time they have been relying on individual schools and districts to carry out this law on their own, so this is what you get, something different depending on where you go to school.
Get the sense that more school districts are looking at their own action at this point?
Yeah, so the biggest one that we talked to today was Denver Public Schools, so that they're revisiting if they need to incorporate a specific deadline, but they're just trying to weigh what is the best for their kids. Right now they can ask a student to go home and work with them to get all that paperwork up to date.
You have to think, though, that they're looking at what's happening in other school districts, like what the reaction is, and kind of guiding policies based on that.
Yeah, a lot of it was looking at what Brighton did as well.
Thank you, Anusha. Appreciate it. State legislators, of course, tried to make it tougher for parents to skip vaccines last year, but there was bipartisan resistance to that from everybody from Democratic Governor Jared Polis to conservative lawmakers. Democratic Representative Kyle Mullica from Adams County introduced a bill during the legislature that would not have required vaccines. It just would have made it harder for parents to opt their kids out. He told us he was looking at the idea again. Lawmakers abandoned that proposal a few days before the legislature ended in early May.